So veterans benefits are available to any person who served in the military for any length of time. However, when it comes to the term veterans benefits, it means a whole variety of different programs, and each program has different eligibility requirements. Some are available to service members who have had 20+ years of service. Some are available to individuals who had service during a specific time period. Some are available to individuals who were disabled or they were disabled while they were in active duty. But the point is, there are quite a few programs that are available, and what may be available to you or to your loved one differs depending on what type of service they had. And because there are so many different programs, it's possible for two different veterans to be talking about veterans benefits and be talking about two different programs that have completely different eligibility requirements. So when evaluating whether or not you're eligible for veterans benefits or whether or not veterans benefits are appropriate in your particular situation, it's important to work with somebody who's familiar with all programs that are available through the Department of Veterans Affairs, or the VA as it's more commonly known. It's also important to understand how the Department of Veterans Affairs is set up. So there are actually two branches of the VA. There's the Veterans Health Administration and the Veterans Benefits Administration. The Veterans Health Administration is responsible for operating the VA nursing homes, VA hospitals, VA outpatient clinics, the pharmacy, but they don't handle the financial side of the VA. That belongs to the Veterans Benefits Administration. The Veterans Benefits Administration is responsible for administering any program that involves finances. So things like veterans loans, veterans home loans, veterans pensions benefits, compensation benefits, and the GI Bill. It's important to understand that simply because you're enrolled in one side, the Veterans Health Administration, does not equate into enrollment in the Veterans Benefits Administration. Your enrollment is going to be program specific. The program that I get asked about the most is the Aid in Attendance program. Technically, that program is known as Veterans Pension with a rating for aid in attendance. The Aid in Attendance program is designed for veterans who had at least 90 days on active duty, 1 day on active duty during a congressionally declared period of war, and a discharge other than dishonorable or bad conduct. As long as the veteran had that service record, then the veteran may be eligible for the Aid in Attendance benefit, or the veteran's surviving spouse may be eligible for that benefit. The Aid in Attendance benefit is designed to help veterans that had that service requirement but who have income that isn't enough to meet their medical expenses. So when evaluating whether or not an individual is eligible for aid in attendance, not only will the Veterans Benefits Administration look at the veteran's service record, they're also going to evaluate the veteran's income and look at the veteran's income compared with what their medical expenses are. Those medical expenses, in order to be considered for aid in attendance, have to be fixed and reoccurring, which means that they're going to be ongoing and they will happen every month. Examples of those expenses would be assisted living or nursing home costs, the cost of home health care, reoccurring prescriptions, or medical transport that's necessary to get to doctors. There are other expenses that may actually qualify for aid in attendance. It's going to vary based on the veteran or that surviving spouse's particular situation. In addition, in evaluating whether or not a veteran is eligible for the aid in attendance benefit, the VA is going to look at the assets that the veteran has. Now, certain assets are not going to count for purposes of eligibility for the aid in attendance benefit. For example, the veteran's home is usually an excluded asset. Beyond that, the Department of Veterans Affairs, or the VA, is going to evaluate the assets compared to the veteran's life expectancy, their income, and their illness in order to determine whether or not that veteran has the sufficient means to self-pay. If the veteran is found to have sufficient means to self-pay, meaning if they have enough in the way of assets that they would be able to pay for their care for the rest of their lives, then the veteran's most likely not eligible. However, if in evaluating the veteran's assets, the VA determines that they don't have enough in order to pay for their care, then the veteran likely will be eligible. This is a means test. It's a means tested benefit, and it's, like I said, available for veterans or their surviving spouses. But it's not the only benefit available to veterans. So it's important that when working with an advisor, that advisor is familiar with all of the programs available through the VA so that they can determine whether or not the aid and attendance benefit actually makes the most sense for the veteran. And not only just the benefits available through the VA, but also benefits that may be available in the communities, such as personal care services, special assistance, Medicaid, long-term care Medicaid, to determine what really is the best for the client.